Yo, what's happening? Welcome to the Cooler Heads reaction portion of the channel. I'm your host that does the most, as y'all know, Brand from Marcel. And today, man, we're going to be reacting to Keefe D, dumbass, getting himself hemmed up and locked up for the murder of Tupac Shakur. Now, look, this is the AP, the Associated Press. We're going to read what Keefe D is being charged with, and then we're going to just go from there. And we're going to talk about some things that we know to be true based off of what Keefe D has said herself, and things that we know to be true just based off of like police evidence. And I'm gonna play some audio recordings of Keefe D personally admitting to his involvement in Tupac Shakur's murder for all of you guys. So the sources that we're gonna be using is Murder Rap Inside the Biggie and Tupac Murders. It was a documentary that came out about, I want to say, like 7-8 years ago. I purchased it back then because around that time I was really into the Biggie and Tupac murders, and I was really like looking into it myself, and I stumbled across that documentary. And out of all the documentaries and all the films and things that have been put out involving the Tupac and Biggie's case, I think that this one had the most accurate information, and because it was done by police officers, it was done by law enforcement, so they had the most accurate information, in my opinion. So I'm gonna play a little bit of audio from that documentary. If you guys want to check it out, I'll put the link in the bio, so you guys could probably go purchase it on your own and watch it in full length, so that you could get full context, because I'm only going to be showing a few little clips. But without further ado, man, let's just read what Keefe D dumbass is being charged with. So check this out. It says a man who prosecutors say ordered the 1996 killing of rapper Tupac Shakur was arrested and charged with murder Friday in a long-awaited breakthrough in one of hip-hop's most enduring mysteries. That's crazy. So they're saying that he ordered the killing of Tupac Shakur, and they're saying that he's being charged with murder because he ordered the hit, right? So they say Dewan Keefe D. Davis has long been known to investigators as one of the 4 suspects identified early in the investigation. He isn't the accused gunman, but was described as the group's ringleader by authorities Friday at a news conference and in court. In Nevada, you can be charged with a crime, including murder, if you help someone commit the crime. So that's what's going on here, because it's very well known. We've known for a very long time who actually was involved in Tupac's murder. We knew that Keefe D was the shot caller, or he was the OG in the situation. We know that Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, which is Keefe D's nephew, was the shooter. We know that from Keefe D's own admission that he was the one that handed Orlando Anderson the gun, that in which he reached across his other homie and he shot and killed Tupac. And I'm gonna show the audio, or I'm gonna play the audio for you where he admits this, right? But let's continue. It says Dewan Davis was the shot caller for this group of individuals that committed this crime, said Las Vegas Police Homicide Lieutenant Jason Johansson, and he orchestrated the plan that was carried out. It says Davis himself has admitted in interviews and in his 2019 tell-all memoir, Compton Street Legend, that he provided the gun used in the drive-by shooting. So again, man, this is all Keefe D's fault. He caught himself up by, having loose lips, right? And they always say loose lips sink ships, right? And also his nephew at the time, from what I heard, or from what the documentary purported, was that his nephew, after committing the murder, like the day or the ensuing weeks after, he was going around bragging about it, because that's what gang members do. Like, they're fucking idiots. Most of them dropped out of school. Most of them don't have an education. Most of them just do dumb shit for clout. And what I always say, what do people always say, man? Clout is one hell of a drug, because clout can make you do some stupid shit like kill Tupac, and then clout can make you do some even more stupid shit like snitching on yourself, writing tell-all memoirs that you killed Tupac, right? Thinking that the statute of limitations on murder has gone away when he never actually been tried for the murder of Tupac, and he's writing tell-all memoirs. Like, this nigga's retarded, right? You know, I thought gang members should be smarter than that, but I guess not. You know, don't join the gang, kids. So, it says that he was arrested on Friday while on a walk near his home on the outskirts of Las Vegas. It says hours before prosecutors announced in court that a Nevada grand jury has indicted the self-described gangster on one count of murder with a deadly weapon. He is due in court next week. And it says that the grand jury also voted to add an additional sentencing enhancement to the murder charge for gang activity that could add up to an additional 20 years if he's convicted, which I don't know if those are going to stick, but they should. I mean, they've been building up a huge case on this guy for years. So I wouldn't be surprised. And the dude is already 60 years old. More than likely, he's going to die in prison. It says hundreds of pages of transcripts released Friday provided a view into the first month of grand jury proceedings, which began in late July with testimony from former associates of Davis, friends of Shakur, and a slate of retired police officers involved in the case early on, which is where the documentary that I'm going to reference, a lot of those former police officers that are in the documentary are probably some of the ones that are testifying against him right now. It says their testimony painted a picture for the jurors of a deep escalating rift between Shakur's music label Death Row Records and Bad Boy Records, which had ties to Davis and represented Shakur's rap rival Biggie Smalls. And I'm going to point that out too, because there was an alleged hit, right? There was an alleged hit that was put out on Tupac and on Suge Knight. And, it comes from somebody that's very, very well known in the industry, right? And I'm going to say this is all allegedly because, I don't want to be hit with no fucking lawsuit or anything like that. But it's allegedly, and it's talked about at length in this documentary. So I really recommend you guys check out this documentary. Again, it's called Murder Rap Inside the Biggie and Tupac Murders, where they basically said, and this is Keefe D's own admission during he was being interrogated, right, by the DEA and the LAPD back in 2008, where he confessed to his involvement in Tupac's murder. And he basically said that Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or however he wants to be addressed nowadays, Sean Puffy Combs, he put out $1 million hit on Tupac and on Suge Knight. And we all know, and leave it to, Puffy, he always tried to disassociate himself from the situation. He always tried to say that he had no ties to the Southside Compton Crips and Keefe D, when we all know that to be a lie. Everybody in the industry at the time knew that that Puff, he used to hire the Southside Compton Crips as security. He also, just always had them around at certain events when Biggie and Bad Boy, when they used to come to the West Coast, who was there acting as security, Southside Compton Crips. And one of the major reasons for that is, the Southside Compton Crips don't get along with Mob Piru, where Suge Knight is from. And, the Luder Park Pirus and all of them, they don't fucking get along with Southside Compton Crips. And, what sparked the East Coast, West Coast beef was, in fact, some gang-related shit, where literally the same nigga who killed Tupac killed Suge Knight's one of his bodyguards, one of his best friends, killed him in Atlanta. That was the same nigga. And that's what really made the beef really pop off, because now you got Suge looking at Diddy, at Puff, at like he's crazy. Like, what the fuck? Like, you hanging around these niggas, and these niggas killed my homie? Like, oh, it's up now. You know, that's how the shit escalated, right? So it said that's what one of the representatives is talking about. He said it started the whole West Coast East Coast rivalry that primarily defined the hip hop scene during the mid 1990s. One of Davis's former associates testified. So this is one of Keefe D's own people. They telling you that that's what sparked the whole East Coast West Coast beef. And it says the first ever arrest in the case came after Las Vegas police in mid-July raided Davis's home in the nearby city of Henderson for items they described at the time as concerning the murder of Tupac Shakur. Let's see what those items were. Before we get into that, though, it says, you know, in Davis's memoir, because he's so snitch, bro. He told on himself. Says in his memoir, said he was in the front seat of the Cadillac and had slipped a gun into the back seat from where he said the shots were fired. He implicated his own nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, and I'm pretty sure one of the reasons why he implicated him as the shooter or the murderer is because at the time when he confessed, like, his nephew was already dead. So it was like, you know, it's kind of like the T.I. situation, you know, him snitching on his mans or whatever, and his homie's already dead. Like, what is it gonna do? Like, can't arrest the dead man, right? So he implicated his nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, saying he was one of two people in the backseat. Anderson, a known rival with Shakur, had been involved in a casino brawl with the rapper shortly before the shooting. Little did anyone know that this incident right here would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur, said Johansson, the police lieutenant. You know, because Anderson, he died 2 years later. But let's see what was recovered from Keefe D's home. So it says police reported collecting multiple computers, a cell phone and hard drive, a Vibe magazine that featured Tupac on the cover, which is pretty fucking odd. I don't know. Like, this dude was very obsessed with Tupac. And if he wasn't so obsessed with that and that was like his only claim to fame in life, then maybe he wouldn't have never been locked up at 6 years old. But he's a fucking idiot, and he just wanted to be known for being the one who orchestrated Tupac's murder. So he's getting what he deserves. So anyway, they found the magazine with Tupac on there. And then they found several .40 caliber bullets and 2 tubes containing photographs and a copy of his memoir. So, you know, one of the lieutenants that was working on the case, you know, it says Greg Cadding, a retired Los Angeles Police Department police detective who spent years investigating the Shakur killing and wrote a book about it, said he's not surprised by Davis's arrest. He put himself squarely in the middle of the conspiracy, Cadding said, adding that Davis himself gave Las Vegas police the ammunition and leverage to move forward, which he undoubtedly did. Cadding said he had also anticipated the murder charge because Davis' public comments showed the crime was premeditated, which it definitely did. All the other direct conspirators or participants are all dead. Well, I don't know if they're all dead. Cadding said Keefe D is the last man standing among the individuals that conspired to kill Tupac. Now, I don't know. I don't think that that's true, but, you know, let's just go off of what I've seen based off of what I've seen in the documentary. So let me just give y'all a quick timeline, right? So after Biggie Smalls was murdered in 97, I believe that was. Yeah, I believe he was murdered in 97. Um, Keefe D was hemmed up, you feel me? They was investigating him as a person of interest in Biggie's murder because he was there that night. And also they know that he had ties to Tupac's murder the year before or 6 months before. So he was a person of interest. So it says that that's when they tied him up in this whole DEA type of shit because he was selling PCP and cocaine and all of that, and they basically was gonna get that nigga life if he didn't cooperate with the Biggie investigation. So that being said, they was about to give him a life, and he said that he had nothing to do with Biggie's murder, but what he did have involvement in was Tupac's murder, and he confessed because like how the LAPD do and like how law enforcement do, they trick you, bro. They get you for one thing, and then they be like, hey, if you give me more information on something else that I really want to know about, then I'll probably pardon you from this. You feel me? So it was like a ploy that they used, and they used like the proffer agreement where they basically was like, yo, you give us some information on this or whatever, we'll null and void these charges that we were gonna get you on, right? So he cooperated, and then he voluntarily gave them information, bro. He told them that he was involved with the Tupac Shakur murder, and that allegedly Diddy put a hit out on Tupac and Suge for $1 million, and that his nephew was the one who shot and killed Tupac. And he also probably felt like there was some sort of secrecy that was going to be upheld there, because in a proffer agreement, usually they can't use that type of information against you unless you get caught lying somewhere, right? So I believe maybe at some point they caught him with some type of lie. So now they're going to probably use his own words against him. And, they're using shit that he said in interviews against him as well. So we're going to play some of the audio from where he, self-snitched.
It wasn't just to save himself. He was trying to save his family. Keefe agrees to cooperate with the government, and that it will be a proffer session in which nothing that he tells us can be used against him unless we find out that he's deliberately lied to us. At our next meeting with Keefe, we explained to him that we needed to know everything he knew about the murder of Biggie Smalls. Keefe D began by telling us that on the day that Biggie was killed, Puffy had invited him to the vibe party at the Peterson Auto Museum after they had attended a celebrity basketball tournament earlier in the day. So Keefe and some members of his crew attended the party. This claim was backed by Keefe's friend, Corey Edwards.
But you did have some friends that did go to the vibe party.
Yeah, I heard some friends of mine was there.
Mind you, Corey Edwards, he was one of the individuals that was with Keefe's nephew in Atlanta when they killed Suge's bodyguard. So those two were involved in killing Suge's bodyguard, which sparked the whole beef in the first place. But he's on record testifying to when Keefe D met up with Puff.
And who was that?
Well, I was saying that was, I heard Keefe and William was at the party.
Keefe who?
Keefe D.
Keefe D.
While inside the party, Keefe said that he had approached Biggie and Puffy's table.
Did you see Biggie there or Puffy there? Did you know Puffy comes this?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Did you see them at the party?
Yeah, I seen both of them.
Did you talk to Little C?
Yeah, I talked to him.
What did you guys talk about? I mean, you met before, right?
He just said, how you doing? Yeah,
Little Cease confirmed that he had seen Keefe D and several of the other Southside Crips at the Peterson. He sees them walking up towards Biggie when the security intervenes, but Biggie waves them off saying, hey, I know these guys, they're cool. Specifically Keefe D, let him through.
Where did these guys from Compton approach you and ask you for?
This is Lil C's talking. This is Biggie's cousin, member of Junior Mafia. And this is him talking in a police interview, basically saying like how he seen Keefe D at the the party the night Biggie was murdered.
Did you want to provide
Did I
security?
want security at that place?
At the party?
Yeah.
At the museum?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he approach Big?
Yeah.
Did you talk to him? About what?
He didn't talk to him, but he came and set us up to Big though.
Oh, yeah?
Because he walked over there with me when we did it.
What was the Big response?
So what's up? Smack hands. So what's up?
Puffy's bodyguard, Eugene Deal, had also confirmed that the guys who he referred to as the guys from Compton had approached them at the party.
So we're sitting around, Zip leave the party. You know, the guys from Compton is still in there. They come over.
This is Eugene Deal talking. This is the bodyguard for Puffy and Bad Boy Records. So this is all important in establishing the connection and the connection between Puff, his homie Zip, and Keefe D. Like, this is important in establishing how they all know each other, and this is important when trying to establish whether or not that alleged hit that Puffy put out was real, you know?
What they say? Did they come over and speak to you guys?
Yeah.
Speak to Puffy and
And I
Big?
speak to him just like, yo, what's up, what's happening? Yo, y'all want some? Nah, you know, like that. Y'all want some of this bottle? Like that. Nah, you know. All right, man, cool. You know, like that.
This, among other things, establishes what Keefe D is already telling us, is that he knows these guys on a personal level and can approach them at any time.
So that's important in trying to establish that. And let's just fast forward a little bit to the timestamp of remember when I said that the caveat is that for them to be able to use Keefe's statements against him is that he can't be caught lying, right? So I believe in this documentary, this is, you know, they found out that he was lying about some shit. And that's how they're gonna use his own words against him. And this is gonna try to establish that. So the timestamp for that is like around 58 minutes or so.
When confronted with the fact that he had originally denied having any involvement in the Tupac murder, Keefe D said in his words that was all bullshit.
Well, what about that whole bullshit about Tupac?
What's that?
The whole...
Oh yeah, that was bullshit.
Next, Keefe D began to fill in the backstory of his association with Puffy Combs.
And here you go. He's getting ready to tell you how he's connected to Puff. You know, he's about to establish that connection.
He told us that he had met Puffy in 1993 through a mutual friend, a guy named Eric Zip Martin, who was a New York-based...
Remember that name, Eric Zip Martin. I'm going to just refer to him as Zip, but you guys know what his full name is, Eric Martin. So they call him Zip, but I'm going to refer to him as Zip. But remember that name. He was a New York-based drug dealer, and he knew Puffy. They was cool, they was tight, whatever. And, you know, on some street shit, some drug dealing shit, that's how Zip and Keefe D know each other. Cause Zip, you know, coming to the West Coast, you know, moving his shit or whatever, that's how they probably linked up, and that's how they know each other. So that's the connection between Keefe D and Puffy. And the reason why I said that I don't necessarily know if, you know, what the Associated Press reported, where they was talking about that you know, the only two people that was involved in this conspiracy to kill Tupac were all dead. You know, I don't know, Zip and Puffy are still alive. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they start opening this shit up even more and they try to go after Puffy and they try to go after Zip. Who knows?
He's a drug dealer.
Where does introduce you to Zip at?
We had a baseball game.
So is it like a high school field? Like a local
No, not far. South Park.
So, okay.
We used to play for like cases of champagne.
Do you know what brought Zip out here? Because he's originally from New York.
Yeah.
What was he out here for?
He just come out in the party. And
see, they asked him, like, you know, Zip is from New York. Like, what was he coming out here for? You know, obviously, Keefe not going to be like, it's on some drug-related shit, but that's what it was, bro. Read between the lines.
And have fun, you know. When he come to L.A., he come and hang out with me. We go partying.
When you're out in New York, is that when you meet Puff out there?
Not doing that. I met him, he gave a party at some little club down in Santa Monica. Paradise.
On 24, was Paradise 24 used to be?
Yeah, it was Paradise, yeah. On Santa Monica, right off Highland. That's where I met, first day I met Puff.
And Zip introduced you to this my boy. What did he introduce him as? This my friend, this my nephew?
My boy.
This my boy. They didn't see themselves as relatives or anything like that? Like that was his nephew? Or?
And this is all Keefe D's own admission, bro. This is him speaking.
Is that how he act towards him?
No, this is my boy, this Puff.
Okay.
And after that, they used my car on the video.
Which car was that?
The 64 Chevy I had.
What color was it?
Brown. It was Usher video. Puff was.
So, even further solidifying that Keefe knows Puff and that Puff knows Keefe. Keefe is admitting that he had a 64 Chevy Impala. I think it was a Chevy Impala. He lit Puff used inside of an Usher video. It was a brown 64 Impala. And he let them use his shit inside the video. So this is what he's talking about.
Driving the car, Usher first song ever. He was in a Laker uniform. And he had the little kid dancing on my car. When he got back, it was fucked up. And he paid to get it repainted. How many times we met him? Before the beef came? Maybe about 3-4 times.
3-4 times.
So he met up with Puff like maybe 3-4 times before the whole East Coast West Coast beef started happening. So I'm assuming that shooting, I think that happened like in 95. So that's like really when everything really started to escalate. But you know,
always like at a social event.
Yeah. Okay. Greenbacks was mostly, that's where we started.
Greenbacks?
Greenbacks. You know, it's right next to the Laugh Factory. That's where they usually used to meet up, they eat or whatever. And that's when they used to discuss business, if you know what I mean.
Right on Sunset by the Laugh Factory.
Oh. So Puff calls Zip's phone. Zip gives you the phone.
Hey man, you think it's cool to come out there? I'm like, yeah, it's cool, man. You know, just give us like 40, 45, 50 tickets.
So he didn't give you no money, no security, nothing like that, just tickets.
He gave us some tickets and I brought the crew. You know, yeah.
For his part, Puffy Combs denies having any association with Keefe D or hiring Crips as his security. However, a slew.
See, so you know, Puff, he's trying to disassociate themselves with them, trying to be like, oh, he doesn't even know these dudes. He's never, you know, interacted with them. But that's a lie because they got mad corroborating witnesses and evidence stating otherwise.
Of witnesses confirmed that Puffy Combs and Zip and the Southside Crips were all connected.
Puff had a friend.
This is Eugene Deal again. This is the bodyguard for Puff in Bad Boy talking right here. He's corroborating the story or the story that Keefe D is saying how he knows Puff, you know?
It's like somebody that's cool with him and everything like that. And he had a bunch of friends that was Crips and everything. So when I went up,
you remember what this friend's name is?
You know, Jeff Fairmont.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Keefe D's childhood friend and fellow Southside Crip, Terrence Brown, also confirmed that Puffy, Zip.
Terrence Brown also was one of the individuals that was in the car with Keefe D and Orlando Anderson the night that they murdered Tupac Shakur. Terrence Brown, he actually was the driver. He was the driver. Keefe D was in the front passenger seat. And Orlando Anderson was sitting in the back right passenger seat. So he was on the other side of the car, right behind Keefe D, right? The seating of the individuals that was in the car. And then there was another dude, I forgot his name, but they're going to probably mention him later on in a documentary, and then I'll be able to tell you. But he was sitting closest, like he was sitting in the left back seat, closest to where Tupac was. So he had the best vantage point to shoot Tupac, but he wasn't the shooter.
And Keefe D all knew each other quite well.
Like Keefe met Puffy through Zip. But everybody knows Zip's from New York when he comes around. So then when this
This is Terrence Brown right now. This is the driver of the Cadillac the night that Tupac was killed. So he's talking right now, and he's further establishing or corroborating Keefe's statement of how he knows Puff through Zip.
Oh, he friend from New York. You know what I'm saying?
Corey Edwards, another Southside Crip friend of Keefe's, also confirmed these connections.
This is Corey Edwards. This is the man, like I said earlier, this is the one that was with Orlando Anderson the night that Suge Knight's bodyguard got killed in Atlanta. And, you know, it was seen by a undercover police officer, or he was like a security guard at the time at that club, who witnessed Suge's bodyguard getting into an argument or altercation with and Suge was there too. They was arguing with Orlando Anderson, and where Suge was basically like, yo, I know your family, and all of this type of shit, right? Which that's key because, you know, years later when Pac got killed, right? Remember, Suge was like, he knows who killed Pac, but he never said it because it's just, you know, like he wanted to get back on some street shit, or also, you know, he knew that he couldn't really touch Keefe like that, or he couldn't really touch Orlando Anderson because Orlando Anderson is Keefe's nephew. So it's like that would have probably started a whole big ass gang war, which is already a gang war, but it would have been way worse, maybe. So, you know, it was, you know, some hood politics in there too as to why he didn't directly retaliate, but he knew who shot him.
Zip's from New York. Okay. He might be involved in the music industry, or?
Well, I know he knows Puffy also.
He does know Puffy. Yeah, he knows Biggie.
Yeah, you know, Mike Tyson now, you know.
And Keefe D knows Zip also.
Yeah.
Death Row insider Henry Hen Dog Smith also told police that he had heard that Bad Boy used.
Now, Hen Dog was the one who created the Death Row, the logo for Death Row, right? And he was with Death Row, you know, and he knows, and he stated that he knows that that Bad Boy Records, Puff Daddy and them, that they used to actually hire Southside Compton Crips as their security.
Southside Crips as security, and that Keefe D was the main contact between Bad Boy Records and the Crips.
Yep. And that Keefe D was the main contact, man. Boom. Diddy can't get around that shit.
You think they tried to hire?
This is Hen Dog right now talking.
Whoever the enemy of Suge?
Exactly. I think that these guys probably went to Puffy them and said that they can really, they can take care of the situation.
I knew that they were Southside Crips.
This is Reggie White. Now, he was the head of security for Death Row Records. This is him speaking right now.
Were affiliated or supplying security services.
Now, he's going to describe something that's very important because I need a lot of the younger viewers to understand, like, a lot of your favorite rappers are studio gangsters. I famously just made a video about why Lil Wayne, to me, is the biggest studio gangster because he actually says that he's a gang member, unlike Tupac, who wasn't a gang member, but he tried to be like on that type time and got himself killed. But Lil Wayne is the biggest studio gangster. But this is very important, what Reggie White is getting ready to describe, because you got like a lot of industry niggas that aren't actually gang members, like Chris Brown, Lil Wayne, Soulja Boy. These dudes, you know, they come over here and they want to be known as gang members, or they want to be associated with the gang members, and they claim that they from the set or whatever, but they're actually not. They're actually just hiring these individuals as security and whatnot, probably because they're probably being extorted too. But that's also a possibility. But, you know, they're hiring them as security and whatnot. And because of this, you know, these are things, perks to hiring gang members as your security. He's getting ready to describe it.
Homeboy Security Services.
Homeboy Security Services. And I'm about to tell you what that is.
For the Bad Boy crew when they came inside. you know, they see things coming from a street perspective where they won't need it. And also, they, you know, me as a cop, I'm not gonna go and approach a young lady and say, hey, Tupac or Suge wanna holler at you. Well, they'll go do that. I'm not gonna go and walk up to a guy and say, hey, you got some weed on you. Well, they'll go do that.
Even Biggie's cousin, Little C.
See, so there you go. That's one of the reasons why you will hire gang members to be your security detail, right? So at this point, it is confirmed that Keefe D, through his connection with Eric Zip Martin, met Sean Puffy Combs at a party in 1993. So I think we had already established that they know each other, right? And the fact that Lil C's, he also corroborated it, and he was there the same night that Biggie got killed. Shit, he was in a car with Biggie, and he said that he saw Keefe D at the party. So there's no getting around that for Puff, right? So, like I said, on several different occasions, the Southside Compton Crips acted as security detail for Bad Boy, right? And this is where you're about to. This is part of that. This is part of that to corroborate that. You know?
Admitted to seeing Keefe D backstage at a Bad Boy concert in Anaheim.
And that's key, right? That's key that he admitted to seeing Keefe D at a concert in Anaheim. Now, I think that they got the date wrong, but they still, Little C's himself, this is Biggie's cousin, still alive. He saw Keefe D at a Bad Boys concert in Anaheim. Now, remember that, because that was the day where allegedly Puff Daddy put the hit out on Tupac and Biggie. On Tupac, and that was the day that Puff allegedly put the hit out on Tupac and Suge Knight. So let's continue.
Along with Puffy's friend from New York, who we now believe.
So, you know, he saw Keefe D with a friend of Puffy from New York, which we all know is Zip.
It was Zip. In fact, that's how Little Cease recognized Keefe D at the Vibe party, because he'd seen him before at the concert in Anaheim.
Did he miss your name, or he just...
This is Lil C's talking.
How do you know you was Diddy?
Nah, cause we saw him at this last show, like the last show we did out here.
So like they was backstage.
What show? We did a show at the Anaheim Coliseum.
Not only did Little C say that
it wasn't the Anaheim Coliseum, it was Arrowhead Pond, I think it was. Yeah, Arrowhead Pond. That's the show that he's referencing. Yeah, Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, right? That was in November 11th, 1995, to be more specific and exact. I had to look it up.
That this Crip was the same person that he had seen backstage at Bad Boy concerts, but he was able to pick him out of a photo lineup.
How do you guys look?
Well, I saw one of them on that picture you gave me.
Well, let's get that picture back out then.
You saw one of them guys here?
Yeah.
In the picture?
Mm-hmm. Right there.
Okay, you saw that guy number 2 there, huh?
Yep.
So you saw that.
He picked out Keefe D in a lineup of people. So, like, he knew exactly what Keefe D looked like.
Guy when you was on the Joseph tour? Same guy?
Same guy. Same dude, right there. Yep. I saw him that night. I know that face. I saw him twice.
That face is Keefe D.
It was a BET tour.
Now, Keefe D is cooperating. Now he's about to tell you the day where, you know, they met up with Puff and Zip, when Puff and Zip, like, where Puff put out the hit on Tupac and Suge, right? Because it was like the BET tour or some shit like that. Or no, it wasn't the BET tour. It was Biggie was performing on his own in 95.
BET tour.
Where was it at?
He went to one in San Diego.
The BET tour was in San Diego, but they mentioned that it was 4 different showings or whatever. And yeah.
Went to one in Anaheim, Irvine, then in Vegas. Irvine was a summertime.
Puffy's bodyguard, Eugene Deal, also admitted to seeing these guys rolling with Puffy at Bad Boy shows.
These guys from Compton.
This is Eugene Deal again. This is the bodyguard talking.
That you said were involved with the Tupac thing. Were there any of the other concerts on that tour other than Las Vegas?
Like I know of.
Okay.
They were at a California show. I don't know if it was Irvine or San Diego or whatever like that. But I know I met them first at a California show.
Eugene Deal also confirmed Keefe D's claim that he had seen Puffy handing out 40 to 50 concert tickets to the Southside Crips.
I think we had to go to Vegas. And it was like, there had to be anywhere from 35 to 57 Crips that rolled with us.
And these are all the guys from Compton?
Yeah.
Same group of people?
Yeah. They just roll in, and have concert tickets and everything like that, so.
Next, we asked Keefe D.
Now it's about to get juicy. So now we already established that Keefe D unmistakably, like undoubtedly, is 100% confirmed that him and the Southside Compton Crips had dealings with Eric Zip Martin and Puff Daddy. That like there's a connection. They've interacted multiple times at this point. They've been seen at Bad Boy concerts and shit like that. We've seen them together. There's multiple witnesses that corroborated that already on audio recording, right? So now they about to ask Keefe D the $1 million question.
The $1 million question.
On all four of those occasions, there's San Diego, Anaheim, Irvine, and Vegas. Which ones do you actually talk to Puffy at?
Every one.
Every one of them. Which of those four is it when you talk to him about murdering Tupac?
It was really about both of them. Either one. It was
Tupac and Suge, you mean?
See, he talked to Puff about killing Tupac and Suge.
Yeah, Anaheim.
After a concert in Anaheim, Keefe D claims that he attended a party with Puffy in a hotel suite.
So it's Harrell, you, Puffy, Zip, and a bunch of Southsiders.
This is Keefe D talking.
And what Puffy makes kind of an announcement?
Yeah, that was stupid as hell too,
What did you actually hear? What was the words? If the best you can remember what he says.
Shit, he said he'd give us anything for them dudes there, Yeah.
He'll give you anything for these guys' head?
Yeah. He said it in front of all the people. I couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying?
In Anaheim?
Yeah. Whole room full of Crips.
So this is after Jake got killed. So he was on point.
This is after Jake got killed. Jake got killed in 95. And remember, like I said, November 11th, 1995 was when this meeting took place in Anaheim. So Jake Robles or whatever his name is, that was Suge's bodyguard, and he got killed earlier that year, and that's what really sparked the tension between Bad Boy and Death Row, because Suge seen that the Southside Compton Crip niggas was hanging around Puff. You feel me? So that's why all of this shit got cracking like that. So,
He was worried about something happening.
Yeah.
Cause one of the reasons why Puff put a hit out on him was because he was scared, man. He was scared that Suge was about to do something to them because they was hanging around them, right? So he's scared. So he like, yo, hey, just put. And it makes sense, bro. It makes a lot of sense.
Suge got mouthed off about a bunch of different stuff, so he was scared.
He was scared to death. Yeah.
Okay.
We were a bit taken back by this information. These are very bold claims being made against a very powerful person. It was not something that we took lightly. Claims like these need to be corroborated on multiple levels. Yeah, as soon as it goes up the chain of command, they're going to squash the case.
See, and why is that, man? They knew that this rumor has been floating around for a long time, and why when you try to send that up the chain of command to try to get an indictment on somebody as powerful as Puff, it gets squashed. It's because it's all about money, baby. It's all about money.
Because nobody wants to do business at that level. Because it's just lawsuits and lawsuits and lawsuits. A few months later, at Greenblatt's Deli, Keefe D claimed that Puffy Combs furthered the solicitation.
Now this is where it really gets juicy, because this solidifies like actually like putting the hit out on these two dudes, because they met at Greenblatt's again to discuss that business again, and this is where it really gets serious.
What happened that made it something other than just him frustrated and boasting? Man, I'll give you guys anything. I mean, what made it a specific, like, hey, I'm serious, I want you guys to kill these guys? I mean,
when he told me the greenback.
How's it go? How's the conversation go? I mean, okay, listen, I'll do it, but I need $500,000, or, you know, I've got somebody who will do it, but I need $300,000. I mean, we need really specific details regarding that.
Yeah, we wanted $1 million.
You said you walked downstairs. Did he say, come meet me downstairs?
Yeah, he said, come on downstairs and talk to you.
Oh. He tells you, seriously, man, I need to get rid of these guys. I mean, he's looking at you in the eyes and he's like scared.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, the specific reason he asked you to come downstairs and talk to him was about that thing, not about liquor or anything. It was about that. Okay.
You tell him we'll do it.
And let's get this straight. So Keefe D right now, he's being interviewed and he's given he's admitting to meeting with Zip Martin, Eric Zip Martin. He's admitting to meeting with him, and they going downstairs and they're discussing murdering Tupac and Suge Knight.
For $1 million.
And he's gonna say that Puff calls in and basically get a hit.
He's like, okay, I'll do it for $1 million.
Yeah.
He agrees. You shake on it or something like that.
Yeah.
What happened?
Gentlemen, he like, man, we'll wipe their ass out quick. You know, it's nothing.
Who brought up the amount of $1 million?
Shit, he did.
Puffy did?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't you?
No, it wasn't me. $1 million out there. Yeah, take it for 50. You know what I'm saying? Shit.
So he brought up them $1 million.
Oh, I take that back. So Puff, I don't think they did it over the phone. Puff was actually there and said that.
Yeah. Them project dudes will kill your ass for $1,500. You know what I'm saying? Shit.
If Keefe D is to be believed, this second solicitation for murder is more serious than the first that could have been discounted as boasting, because now he takes Keefe D aside to have a private conversation to discuss this matter. All the other things Keefe D told us, we could corroborate with other witnesses, but this particular matter just leaves Keefe and Puffy alone.
So Keefe and Puffy went downstairs and had a private one-on-one conversation where Puffy offered him $1 million to kill Tupac and Suge Knight. And that's what Keefe D just admitted to. And they're going to get a separate cooperation to this because they had, they got informants everywhere, bruh. That's another reason why I'm like, man, snitching is part of street culture, bro. There's snitches in every single gang. Y'all probably just don't know about it.
The one piece of corroborating evidence that we did have came in the form of a witness statement from a Southside Crip informant who had advised the police that there was a standing $1 million contract between Bad Boy Records and the Southside Crips. Chuck Phillips wrote this article based on this clue. And he writes this article in the LA Times saying, hey, there's a $1 million bounty put out by Biggie Smalls.
It wasn't really Biggie. Biggie didn't have nothing to do with the hit. He for all we know, we don't know if Biggie knew about the hit at all on Tupac and Suge Knight. It was just Diddy doing this on his own.
But the truth was, that clue said Puffy Combs 10 years before Keefe D ever.
And that article that was written, like, people was speculating this for a long time, right? So 10 years before Keefe admitted to all of this, there was people talking about it back then. Because Keefe, remember, Keefe is right now when he's giving his statements, this is in 2008, like where he's being interviewed or whatever, because he got caught up on those drug charges. So this is 2008 now. Like almost 11 years later, he's admitting to it, right? But 10 years before that, the streets was already talking. And then it was somebody who wrote an article about it claiming that Biggie was the one who put the $1 million hit out on him when it was really Puff.
Brought it up.
This is what Keefe D says happened the weekend of Tupac's murder.
So now we about to get into what actually happened when they murdered Tupac. So we about to get into it.
The day before the Mike Tyson fight, Keefe D eats at Greenblatt's Deli.
Eating at Greenblatt's Deli, right? At the place where they conduct these meetings in business. They was at Greenblatt's.
He then caravans to Las Vegas with his crew, including Zip Martin.
So he caravans to Vegas from LA. They was at Greenblatt's, and he drove up there with Zip Martin, the one that is his connection to Puff. I wonder why. And they're driving in their Mercedes.
Zip is driving his Mercedes while Keefe goes out.
While Keefe goes out in a rented Buick Century. Because, you know, Keefe, you know, gang members, they always renting cars, bro. There's a reason for that, but we might touch on that later on. But let's continue.
On Saturday, the day of the fight, Keefe D's nephew Orlando Anderson, along with his friends Terrence Brown and DeAndre Smith.
These were the four individuals that was inside the car when Tupac was murdered. It was Keefe D, his nephew, Baby Lane, Orlando Anderson, Terrence T. Brown, who was the driver, and DeAndre Dre Smith, who was the fourth member of the Southside Compton Crips that was in the car. He was the one that had the best vantage point to shoot Tupac, but he bitched up at the last minute because actually Keefe D was handing him the gun to shoot Tupac, but he bitched up, and then, you know, Orlando Anderson, his nephew, he grabbed it because he had an axe to grind with Tupac. Like, this nigga just stomped him out in front of the whole world, so he was like, you know, took matters into his own hands kind of thing. So, you know,
all drive out to Las Vegas to meet up with Keefe.
But is it a coincidence that all of them are just driving up there at this time and they going up there with Eric Zip Martin? Is that just a coincidence to y'all?
Keefe D. Guess what they're driving? A white Cadillac.
A white rented Cadillac at that.
They came,
which was the car that, you know, that was seen at the scene of the crime, that the one that all the witnesses say that they saw shoot Tupac. Yeah, that white Cadillac.
I remember it was a white Cadillac, and the Lord was like, that.
This is a witness speaking right now. I think this was one of the females that basically was like, they pulled up on the side of Tupac, and they the ones who made Tupac's location be known to them, where they was like, oh, Tupac, and all of that. And Tupac trying to get them to go to the club with them, but, you know, but this is what they said that they saw.
That was Tupac. I know he got shot.
Who's driving the?
This is Keefe D now. Now he's admitting, and he's gonna tell you the position of everybody that was in the car was.
Cadillac.
Lane and them didn't come to the next day.
They came on Saturday?
Yeah.
Was that a rented Cadillac?
Yeah.
Who rented that Cadillac?
T. Brown.
Yeah, T. Brown.
His mom, right?
Mother-in-law.
Right.
After the Tyson fight, Keefe D hooks up with Zip and they go to dinner.
Unbeknownst to them, Keefe's nephew.
So while Keefe D and Zip was out at dinner after the fight, he didn't know that his nephew had just got jumped and stomped out by Pac and Suge Knight and all of them niggas.
Orlando Anderson has just been attacked by Tupac, Suge Knight, and their entourage.
Because what y'all don't know about that is, you know, some months prior, Orlando Anderson, he had like beat up some other nigga that was like, he was like a Paru member, gang member or whatever, but he was affiliated with Death Row, and he was actually with Pac at the time when they stomped him out. But like Orlando Anderson, he snatched his Death Row chain or some shit like that. So, you know, Pac seen him and he like, hey, isn't that old boy type shit? And then he told the dude that got his chain snatched, come with me or whatever. And that's when they started stomping Orlando Anderson out. So like I said, man, you know, a lot of y'all gonna accuse me of victim blaming here, but Tupac was the cause of his own demise. If he wasn't trying to fit in with these niggas and try to be all street and hush and all of that shit, we're knowing that that's not the type of environment that he was raised in. He was raised to be a good kid, man, a good kid. He was a good, from, you know, what everybody says, he was like a straight A student. He got good grades. He was in fucking like art school or some shit like that. Like his mother was a fucking Black Panther. His father was a Black Panther. So he wasn't raised around this. What the fuck?
In the epitome of bad timing, Tupac Shakur has just attacked the nephew of the individual who claims to have been hired to kill him.
He didn't even know. Pac didn't even know, man. Ignorant as fuck. But, you know, part of that you could attribute to just being young and dumb, because he was only 25 years old. But, you know, he was mature in some ways, but in a lot of other ways, he was just a young, dumb 25-year-old that just did a lot of dumb shit off impulse. You feel me? No impulse control.
Unlike in his interview with the FBI in the late 1990s, where he had claimed that after Orlando Anderson was beat up, he just simply tried to calm him down, now he told us that they immediately planned a retaliation.
And this is why that officer in the Associated Press interview, this is why he said that he wasn't surprised when they hit him with the murder charge, because he basically admitted to all of this being premeditated, the murder being premeditated.
We went to eat. We was eating.
This is Keefe D talking. He's like, they was eating, right?
Man, they came and said, he just beat up Lane.
So you saying that one of his other little homies or whatever came up to him when they was eating, was like, they just beat up Lane, talking about Orlando Anderson, right?
We was in the hotel, yeah. We had the rest of the MGM in the restaurant.
And remember, Keefe was out eating with Eric Zip Martin, right? They was out eating, and they was eating at the MGM Grand, a restaurant at the MGM Grand, when all of this shit happened, right? So, you know, they coming to him like, yo, your nephew just got stomped out. He just got beat up or whatever. So pay attention to what Zip says.
There was a few New Yorkers though with Zip. Like, man, y'all need some help.
He was like, man, y'all need some help. That's what Zip and some of the other New Yorkers are telling them, right?
We got this.
They're like, we got this.
You guys aren't out in Vegas then with that intention. That's not why you're in Vegas.
We've been going to the fights since.
Now, Keefe is trying to say that they didn't go out there with the intentions to kill Pac and Suge at that time. But I beg to differ, man. The fact that y'all with Zip, you drove out there with Zip, you hanging out with Zip, y'all knew that Pac and Suge was gonna be at the fight. Like, why the fuck were y'all all out there, and why was y'all out there so deep? You feel me? But like, he gonna say that they didn't have firearms, that they didn't bring no guns with them to carry out this murder, right? But watch what he says.
Pat days, you know, the 80s.
So y'all geared up to go to Vegas. Y'all was going anyway, not even knowing who else was going to be down there. Not knowing if Pac and shit was going to be down there.
We didn't have no pistol. We didn't have no pistols down there. And
Zip, who knows about Puffy's offer to Keefe, says this is a good time to take care of that thing.
See, so Zip knows about the hit that Puffy put out on Suge and on Tupac, and he tells Keefe D like, yo, this is a convenient time for you to take care of that thing, alluding to the hit. So he's like, this is the perfect time. You feel me?
Shit, it was right there. It's a perfect opportunity, baby.
That was Zip talking?
Yeah.
Because of what happened with Lane. Zip offers Keefe D the .40 caliber Glock that he has stashed in his Mercedes out in the parking lot.
See, now Zip had a gun on him. So I don't buy that shit where Keefe talking about that they didn't have guns. Like, nigga, you rolled up there with Zip. You came out there with Zip, and he was strapped. So he hands him his 40, and the rest is history, baby.
He told me in the lobby that he had some Jimmys.
Some what?
He had a Jimmy in that Benz. He had a little secret compartment. Thing popped out. Pop up, yeah.
In the armrest?
Yeah.
Backing up Keefe's story, we had a cooperating witness who was present at the MGM that night.
See, they had informants all up and down, all up in Southside Compton Crips. You feel me? They had witnesses and all that.
After Orlando Anderson was beat down, he testifies to the fact that he sees Orlando Anderson bleeding from the head, and he sees the group get together to start to plan the retaliation. In fact, he heard one of the guys say, "Fuck that shit. What Tupac think this is? We gangbang out here." The witness also confirms that he overheard Zip say, "We have artillery out here," meaning guns. He tells Zip, "Hey,
yo, they damn nigga." But look, they keep on talking. So this Keefe, right? He about to talk about the events as they unfold. So stay tuned.
We're gonna go handle this shit or whatever.
Yeah, they act like that. Y'all want us to come? We like, we know where them motherfuckers at. They was telling us that they gonna be at the 662 Club.
Who was saying that?
Everybody.
Everybody out there?
Yeah, everybody.
You get out of the car with Zip after everything. What do you say to him? Like, man, we gonna handle this? Like,
yeah, we gonna go handle it. He's like, yeah, show the perfect timing, you know.
Okay, then you jump out of the car, and then what happens?
I'll get in the van with the buskers. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so Lane and Cadillac with T Brown and Dre.
Yeah.
Y'all go with the van. This is 2 cars go to 662.
Yeah, the van and the Cadillac.
Keefe D.
So Keefe D is basically explaining a situation where it's like they got a car full of niggas ready to ride and slide on Tupac, right? Because they know where Tupac was supposed to be at. He was supposed to be at the 662 Club that night, which was, I think, an establishment that Suge was trying to purchase or something like that. So they knew where they were scheduled to be at. How did they know that? You feel me? I'm thinking that my theory is that I think that they drove out there knowing that they was going to be at the 662 Club. They knew they was going to be there, and they was going to probably plan to get them there all along, right? Even before before Orlando Anderson got jumped, right? But that's just my thoughts, like what I'm assuming. But yeah, so he's saying that it was 2 cars full of niggas. Like they had a van where Keefe D had originally hopped into the van, and then he said Orlando Anderson, T Brown, and Dre, they all was in the white Cadillac.
Orlando Anderson and half a dozen of the other Crip gang members get into 2 vehicles and drive directly to the 662 Club, where Tupac Shakur is expected to be performing later that night. They park in the parking lot, anticipating Tupac's arrival. And
there you go. The surveillance video shows the white Cadillac and the van that they was in, where they was waiting for Pac to perform there. Kind of reminds me of a little like some, King Von type shit, But, I'll talk about that in another video.
Simply lie in wait for him.
They didn't show up. We waited about 15, 20 minutes. They didn't show up. So it's like, let's go get some liquor. And Corey, they gonna kill him, dog. That motherfucker. Got the police killing motherfucker.
So, whoever was with them, they was like, wanted to do, like, he called him a buster because he was like scared to ride on, to slide on Suge in them, because, it was well known within the industry and within the streets that Suge had cops on payroll. So it's like, man, they got the police killing motherfuckers. I'm scared. I don't want to do this shit. So, that's what he's describing right now.
And all that. Man, you crazy. Stopped at the liquor store. I got out the van with their ass and jumped in the Cadillac.
So Keefe got out of the van with the gun, and he goes and hops in the Cadillac with his nephew and T Brown and Dre.
Buster, he's scared.
According to Keefe D, some of the guys are getting nervous, so he jumps in the Cadillac with 3 other guys and decides to handle it on their own.
The Cadillac is being driven by Terrence Brown. In the front passenger seat is Keefe D. Behind the driver is DeAndre Smith. And in the right rear passenger seat is Keefe's nephew, Orlando Anderson. In addition to Keefe D's statement, we had other evidence confirming that the 4 people he said were in the Cadillac were in fact in Vegas that weekend.
See, so they have evidence that all of these individuals was in Vegas that weekend, so they can't lie. So like this corroborates Keefe's statements, man. So everything, we could assume that everything that Keefe is saying in these statements are 100% factual.
Orlando Anderson, of course, was on tape at the MGM, and Keefe D, his uncle, admitted to being there. T. Brown, however, for his part, denied that he was in Vegas that weekend.
Don't tell me.
This is T. Brown. So when they interviewed him back in the day, like trying to see if he was there, he's gonna deny that he was there. But remember, man, like he's so stupid. Like they know that you was there because, for one, your aunt or your mom or whatever the fuck, she was the one who rented the white Cadillac. We know that you rented a white Cadillac, and other people will say that you was there, and you know they're basically gonna find some evidence that he was in Vegas around that time. So
That you didn't go to Las Vegas. What you're gonna tell me, Terry, is who you went there with and where you stayed. Go to Las Vegas.
However, he was arrested less than a month later with Las Vegas postcards in his possession, and DeAndre Smith confirmed that both he and Brown were in Vegas the night Tupac was shot. With Keefe...
See, so Dre basically said that, yeah, him and T. Brown was both in Vegas that the weekend that Tupac was shot. So, and they found the postcards from Vegas, you know, maybe a couple of weeks later. So come on, bro, like you got caught red-handed. So yeah, nigga, you was there.
PD and his crew ready to do this. They set out to find Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur.
But he's dead, by the way, so it doesn't matter.
Then we came up Harmon at the Las Vegas Boulevard.
This Keefe D, he telling you, you know, the events.
Oh shit! Here they coming at BMW like in your car.
Keefe D claims that the girls who were riding alongside Tupac and Suge Knight are what drew their attention to the BMW. They're screaming out his name, Tupac, Tupac.
Stupid bitches. Nah, I'm just playing.
She was like, there's Suge. Like, and then he was like, come on, come go with me. Come go with us. We going to 662.
The bros, Tupac. We like, there they go. Made the U-turn. We wasn't supposed to make a U. Just wanted a U-turn. It was in the middle lane.
Yo, this is legit like a scene out of Boys in the Hood. You feel me?
We just pulled up on the side.
And their friend Dre, he pulled a tray, nigga.
Checked every car to see where they was.
So what directed your attention to him was some girl shouting at Tupac?
Tupac! He gave himself away. Otherwise, they would have got away.
Due to traffic conditions and the configuration of Suge and Tupac's caravan, the white Cadillac is forced to pull up on the right side of their BMW.
I thought he was going to pull on my side. You know, that's my little nephew. I'm going to look out for him, you know.
So, like I said, the formation of the car, how everybody was. T. Brown was driving. Keefe D was in the front passenger seat. Dre was sitting behind T. Brown, so he would have had the best vantage point to shoot. And then Orlando Anderson was on the other side behind Keefe D, the right rear side. And then obviously in the BMW, you had Suge Knight driving that, and then Pac was in the front passenger seat.
He pulled on his side.
So you were fitting to blast if you had to, or you were just...
Yeah, if we would have been on our side, I would have blasted.
Okay.
Keefe D, who's seated in the right front passenger seat of the white Cadillac and who has the gun, realizes that he's not going to be in a position to shoot because he's going to have to shoot across the car and across the face of his driver. Keefe D turns around to hand the gun to the back seat, attempting to give it to DeAndre Smith, who would be in the best position to shoot. DeAndre resists, puts his hand up and says, nah, no thanks, not me.
I gave it to Dre, and Dre was like, no. And Lane's like, dude, Pop, dude.
Orlando Anderson, who's in the right rear passenger, reaches forward and says, gimme that motherfucker. Leans over DeAndre Smith out the back window of the Cadillac and begins shooting rapidly into the BMW.
So Orlando shot across Dre?
He leaned over on the window, he rolled down the window, popped.
So Orlando would have had to lean over the top of Dre, right?
Yeah, he did.
You say Suge looks over, he sees you?
Yeah.
He looks right at you?
Yeah, he looks at me.
Why are you looking right at me?
Fucking know each other since we were 7, 8 years old.
See, so he said this corroborates what like Suge said, like how he knew the killers, right? He's like, he's looking and he sees Keefe D in the front passenger seat. And he's like, fuck you shooting at me for? Like, we known each other since we were 7, 8 years old. And then like this brings me to my point about like LA gang culture and how crazy this shit is, bro. Because you know, you could be from a different block, different set, when you guys just live like maybe like a couple of blocks down from each other. Y'all probably went to the same elementary school and all that. You might have grown up with this nigga, and you are from different gangs that rival with each other. And now you at odds with this man. Y'all don't even got no personal beef. Y'all just beefing over some shit that some other old niggas started back in the day, and you got to continue that hatred of cycle. That hatred, that cycle of hatred. That's crazy. It's crazy, and that's kind of that situation.
Backing up Keefe D's claim that he and Knight knew each other was a witness who was in Las Vegas, part of the death row entourage who was present during the shooting of Tupac Shakur, who said that Knight stated he knew who the shooters were and that they were Southside Crips.
I seen a bullet going Suge head. I thought he was dead.
That's Keefe. He said he saw a bullet go inside Suge's head and he thought he was dead because Suge did get skinned by a bullet. But for the most part, he was good.
I thought he was dead.
So Tupac's trying to jump in the back seat. And what's Suge doing? Just ducking?
Ducking. He couldn't really duck because he was too big, you know? Yeah.
Keefe D has now identified his own nephew as the murderer of Tupac Shakur.
And there you go. That's who murdered Tupac, man. And Keefe D was basically the ringleader. And in my opinion, I think if the allegations that Puff Daddy was the one who put a hit out on Tupac and Suge, I think he should be being prosecuted as well. But those are my thoughts, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below, how crazy this is. You know, like the video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and maybe I might drop some more shit concerning this and the Biggie side, who I think might have been responsible for Biggie's murder. But then again, you know, you guys could also check out this documentary yourselves. This is my main source for all of this information. So again, the video is Murder Rap Inside the Biggie and Tupac Murders, and I'm gonna put a link to that video down in the description below so y'all can check that out, man. But I'm out, man. Stay tuned. Peace.